Let us gather in the spirit of worship with our prelude. Good morning and welcome to UUCLR. Thank you. My name is Rebecca Roetzel and it is a joy to be with you this morning. Before I say anything else, I am going to do a little disclaimer. I feel like it is important to mention that I planned this service and coordinated the readings and wrote the sermon before I knew our second Sunday recipient was the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. This is an issue that I feel passionately about, and I want to be sensitive that any connections that might be made throughout the service and the content of our guest speaker, I want you to know this service was not intended to at all make light of or be insensitive to those dealing with the issue of abortion. I do hope that this theme and this service could be interpreted as words of encouragement, as support, but I want to say that before the service begins. I am grateful for the Arkansas Support Network to be here today. I am grateful that all of you are here today. For those of you who are joining online at another time, we are also glad that you are here. If any of you have questions about our church or you are interested in becoming a member, we would love to connect with you and give you more information. If you would like to receive news and announcements about our congregation, we encourage you to sign up for the emails that you would receive each week to stay connected. One announcement today, we are having an in-person church Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day. It is from 11:30 to 2:30. We are also going to offer pickup dinners and delivered dinners for those of you who can't drive to the church. Sign up is in the foyer. As in years past, this is a potluck. So please sign up for a side dish or something that you could bring to share. The turkey, ham, and a vegan main dish will be provided. Our opening words this morning come from Nathaniel Hawthorne. Happiness is not found in the things you possess, but in what you have the courage to release. I invite Jerry North to come forward and light our chalice this morning.
I light this chalice with these words by James Baldwin. For nothing is fixed. Forever and forever and forever, it is not fixed. The earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. Please join me in the affirmation of covenant, saying, love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Summertime has turned the star wheel, autumn is upon us. Summertime has turned the star wheel, autumn is upon us. Sweet to the angling sun, sweet upon the air, the smell of blue mist rising. Summertime has turned the star wheel, autumn is upon us. Glorious the trees, glorious the sight of rust leaves falling, falling. Summertime has turned the star wheel, autumn is upon us. Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us. Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us. Rain on winter storms, cold upon our cheeks, the wet rain glistens, glistens. Autumn cold has turned the star wheel, winter is upon us. Weeping is the fire, golden in the glass, the cider glows like amber. Autumn wheels have turned the star wheel, winter is upon us.
I invite Crystal Amos to come forward, or you can use these microphones here, to share with us about our second Sunday recipient.
Well, do I need this if I don't need this if I speak up? All right, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? Good, good, good to see you all. Well, my name is Crystal Amos, for those of you all who do not know me. I have been a member here actually 3 years, starting this month, so yay. I serve on the membership committee, and I also serve as the second Sunday Share the Plate coordinator. So for those of you who may not be aware, every Sunday morning, we have what is called Forum, which is a place where different topics are discussed and different speakers are brought in for education and enrichment. But specifically on second Sunday, Share the Plate, we like to bring in an organization who is fighting on the side of justice and who is doing a special work in the community. So as Rebecca has already mentioned, our recipient today is the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. And thank you for your disclaimer. As you said, she wanted to just prepare us so that her sermon is received in a good light and not in any type of negative way, because as she did not know, the second Sunday recipient, was going to be the Abortion Network. So all is in a good light that we're doing here today. So we were lucky to have 3 speakers at Forum this morning who were gracious enough to stay with us today. And for those of you who were not able to join us in Forum, they're just going to share with us what the organization is about, the work that they're doing now, what they hope to do, and what their needs are. So I'm just going to read a brief introduction for Allie, and then she's going to come up and speak, and then I'll kind of give more information about the donations that will be made today. So Allie Taylor, she got her start in abortion advocacy at 14 years old when her mother took her to her first counter protest at an anti-abortion rally. Ever since then, she has been a staunch advocate for safe, legal abortion. She is one of 3 co-founders, and all 3 co-founders are here today. And she's the president of the Arkansas Abortion Support Network. She has been a clinic escort for the last 7 years. And along with the AASN board members and volunteers, she's been raising money to help Arkansans pay for abortions since 2016. By day, Allie is a training specialist for a healthcare support organization. She enjoys hiking, binging on her favorite TV shows, and hanging out with her senior kitty, Stella. So before she comes up, I just want to clarify about the donations made today. So any donations that are collected today that are not designated for your pledge or for your capital campaign will go to support this organization. And there will be ushers at the door at the end of service to collect any donations that you'd like to make. And then we will also continue to take donations online throughout the rest of the month, and then send them a final donation check at the end of the month. Did I get that right, Neil? Perfect. Okay, so at this time, Allie, if you'll please come up and share with us. Let's receive her, if you will.
Thank you so much, Crystal and the UUCLR. Thank you so much for having us. As Crystal mentioned, I am Allie Taylor, one of 3 co-founders and president of Arkansas Abortion Support Network. And for those of you who may not be familiar with our work, I will share with you our mission and our vision. Our mission is we work to reduce barriers to abortion access for Arkansans through abortion funding, clinic escorting, and community outreach and education. And our vision, we seek a world where all people have the resources and information necessary to access the reproductive health care they need without shame, stigma, coercion, harassment, or state interference. Along those lines, and in support of those goals, our 2 main functions are organizing and running the only abortion fund in the state of Arkansas. We raise money to help patients going to Little Rock Family Planning Services, which is the only full service abortion clinic in the state. And we also help folks who need to leave the state to access abortion care. Sometimes that happens just because they live in Northwest Arkansas and it's easier for them to go to Tulsa, or they live in Northeast Arkansas and it's easier for them to go to Memphis. Sometimes it happens when a patient is beyond the 20-week limit that is currently in place in Arkansas. For those patients, unfortunately, they must leave the state and are frequently traveling much further distances to Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Boulder, Colorado. And so those situations need a lot of extra support. So we are, in some cases, we are supporting abortion patients with contributions of thousands of dollars. In some cases, we're supporting patients with contributions of $150 or $200. And with that having been said, I can tell you that every dollar that comes in to us via donations, every dollar counts, every dollar builds up. And we are so very thankful to UUCLR for making us their second Sunday for the month of November. And if anyone is interested in becoming a sustaining donor, or if you wanted to maybe take a look at our website and decide whether to donate later, you can do that by going to our website. It is arabortionsupport.org. And I know that information will be available for you later via your church communications. If anyone is interested in volunteering as well, we do have volunteer opportunities. The primary opportunity is clinic escorting at Little Rock Family Planning Services. And if you're not familiar with clinic escorting, That is, we are there as volunteers at the clinic, standing outside, typically in the parking lot, and we are a welcoming presence for patients who arrive at the clinic. And on the days when there are anti-abortion protesters, which is fairly common, we get anywhere from one very loud, annoying person up to sometimes 10, 15, 20, 30 protesters, or even more during big national campaigns. But we provide privacy protection to patients in the form of giant rainbow umbrellas. And we provide a little extra emotional support when protesters are yelling terrible things at people who are just accessing healthcare. And we also have other volunteer opportunities in development. We're always looking for help with social media, technology needs, fundraising, of course. These types of events are wonderful, and we do a lot of online fundraising and fundraising events. So we're also looking for help with event planning and event staffing. And we do have a sign-up sheet. I don't know what your flow after service usually is, but in the fellowship hall right now, we do have a sign-up sheet available if you wanted to join our mailing list and check a few boxes for volunteer opportunities. I also will throw out another way to support us and to find out more information about what it's like to be a clinic escort. One of our board members by the name of Leanne Bennett has written a book called Escorting for Jesus. And it will make you laugh, it will make you cry, and it will probably inspire some rage in you as well. She kind of covers the gamut of looking at some of the reasonings that protesters come out to the clinic. She talks about some of the conversations she's had with protesters, and that will probably raise your blood pressure a little bit. I will give you a little warning there. But we do have in the fellowship hall, we have a little document there that has a QR code that you can scan with your phone's camera, and that will take you to Amazon, where you can purchase that book if you like, or you can just take a picture of of what we have up there, and you can Google it later. It is available on multiple online platforms. But all of the proceeds from the sale of that book do come straight back to Arkansas Abortion Support Network. And it is a great quick read. So I really want to throw that out there. We also have some little pink pamphlets called What Does the Bible Say About Abortion? I'll give you a quick spoiler alert. Not much, not much. And it doesn't really condemn abortion anywhere. A lot of you probably are aware of that. But I don't want to take up too much more time. I cannot thank UCLR enough. And I thank you everyone for taking a listen. And again, I'll just throw it out there. Our website is arabortionsupport.org, and you can find out all kinds of information about us there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Norm. That was gorgeous. Good morning. This is the time in our service when we focus on the cares and concerns of our beloved community. This morning, John Perez has asked for thoughts, healing energy, and prayers. So we hold John in our hearts, as well as all of those unspoken concerns of the rest of our community. And for our meditation this morning, we actually have a responsive reading. So you have an insert in your order of service. So I'll read the first part, and if you'll join me on the responses. The winds of summer. You and I, and all of us, blew about with the winds of summer. Finding rest in the cool stillness of shadows and moving to the slow, heat-struck rhythms which turned the long hours of summer light. Summer is fading backward into memory, and winter waits in showy brilliance. We have joys and sorrows and hopes to share, questions, things we care about and want to help make better. Today, we are together in gladness, once more the special community that we call our church. So may it be.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, winds set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you. Oop, I always forget that. Last winter, my boss asked if I would take over the farm and garden spaces at the camp where I work. I was aware, though new, that this farmstead, small, I was aware that though it was small, it had been a labor of love for many decades by many thoughtful, hardworking people still within the Ferncliff family. Some who brought actual expertise and some who brought a will to learn. But all who, through sweat and blood and probably cursing, poured a little or a lot of their souls into those spaces. Now, I'm not an agricultural expert, but I'm not a novice. I knew there was a genuine need for a farm steward, and I enjoy that type of work. So I said, yes, if I could spend most of my efforts in the first couple of years focusing less on production of food and more on the creative destruction of the current infrastructure, AKA change. Yes, if I had the authority and some funding to create change. My boss said, okay. So changes began. Less animals, smaller gardens, a different chore routine each morning, incoming loads of lumber and mulch and gravel, outgoing loads of old fences, broken equipment, and unused supplies. For a long while, that garden space looked like a total mess. Every phase of the work had unexpected challenges, but all the while, those gardens grew. Flowers bloomed, and cucumbers were turned into pickles, and tomatoes ripened on the vines, and we harvested over 100 watermelons. The paths emerged, the gates were hung, signage appeared, and suddenly it was as if a balance had been restored. Those old elements, which had been preserved, now stood a little taller and shone a little brighter with a renewed sense of their initial purpose. New elements blended with those old, bringing both improved function and aesthetics. Pathways and fences provided immediate relief from the maintenance like weed eating and mowing, making more time for the tending and the planting. Longtime campers reveled in a garden space which felt both familiar and transformed. And some of those previous farm stewards whose souls are still living there shared kind words of gratitude and delight. And to top it all off, all those mission team participants who helped with the work, over 100 of them, now had a little bit of their souls in the ground as well. Now, gardening has always brought me joy, but this summer of creative destruction at camp, that camp garden brought me an unexpected amount of joy. And even then, I did not anticipate just how much joy it would give me to see our youth, especially our nature preschool classes, in that space. How excited they are to use the little watering cans and smell the rainbow flowers. They would watch the bees at work, dig and plant, and as some sort of strange icing on the cake this fall, to watch our jack-o'-lantern pumpkins grow bigger than their arms could reach around. I had put a few old seeds in a raised bed, much too far after the appropriate planting time, not really expecting them to grow. And then they did. So much, in fact, that they went through the new fence, over a hawk panel trellis that I had put in, and had to be rerouted almost daily so they didn't cover up the nearby pathways. These pumpkins, these ridiculous, amazing pumpkins, still make me a little giddy. So when the nighttime temperatures were projected to dip into the freezing zone late last week, I was less than thrilled. I was pretty angry, actually. For a few days, I convinced myself that it wasn't going to freeze. It just wouldn't because I didn't want it to. But on that day of the big dip, I scavenged the garden shed for tarps and cover cloth, and I wrapped those things up the best I could. With so much energy spent in that garden this summer, I just was not ready to let go of what it was. Finally, with balance and blooming and producing fruits. I was definitely not ready to say goodbye to those pumpkin vines. They still had work to do. I gave them a little pep talk, and then I drove home for the night. The next morning, carnage. Beds full of wilted leaves and vines, shade cloths blown to the side, Some of those plants might have recovered if it was just one light frost, but because we had 2 more nights of frost coming, they didn't stand a chance. As I stood there in that trellised pumpkin tunnel, about to mourn the loss of those leaves and that orangeness that would never come to those great green orbs, I remembered an assignment I had in college. It was one of my first assignments, my freshman year, in a painting class with other art majors. We spent weeks with an enormous canvas working on a free choice piece, something that brought us joy. Everyone's paintings were drastically different. The day came when we presented to the class and shared proudly about our paintings. And just when we thought the assignment was over, the professor said, "Return to your easels." "Now paint over it," he said. Immediate reactions from the class were varied, ranging from, well, but they all took a stance of resistance, ranging from anger and threatening to leave the room to me, who began to kind of negotiate, how much do I have to paint over? Just a little bit, maybe just the edges. Our professor made it clear that this was a pass-fail assignment. Paint over it and you will pass. At the next class, we all presented those paintings again. Some had painted over the whole thing. I tried to incorporate some of the old into the new. At the end of that class, the professor gave us the same instructions. Paint over it. He did that every week for the remainder of the semester. Each week, I struggled to let go completely of the previous weeks I had painted. So alongside all the other painting assignments we completed in that class, we each had this ever-changing canvas at our station, and we presented it weekly, not knowing what would be the final version. In the last week of class, we finally wrapped up that assignment. And on that day, instead of us presenting our paintings, that professor debriefed that experience just like any good facilitator. "Life is change," he concluded, "and you are not in control of it. Learning to let go is a survival skill." As art majors, we had to be prepared to essentially paint over things, to experience the mishaps of our own doing and others' doings, the dripped paint, the spilled ink, the shattered pottery. Grief, frustration, anger, the loss of objects and ideas that held a part of us. To survive life as an artist, he said, you must learn to appreciate it for what it was and let it go. Pick up whatever lessons you've learned and move forward to keep your energy in the creating and learn to fuel it with the inevitable destruction that will live alongside. That lesson served me well during those 4 years of making art and all the very many mishaps that came with it. It was not always graceful, but I found ways. I found ways to spend less energy on the grief and the anger and the blame in those moments of material tragedy and loss, which allowed me to shift my energy more quickly into a renewed creative process. So standing there in that garden last week, at the close of my first growing season at Ferncliff as the farm steward, I took a deep breath, gave thanks to those glorious pumpkins, and began to plan for the winter wonder and awe in store. This garden, a canvas about to be painted over. This is the natural way of gardens. We all know this. The turning of seasons where death and life are equally necessary for maintaining balance. It was in one of my first services here about 13 years ago when someone spoke about the Hindu gods, the triumvirate. And since then, I have been fascinated with the Hindu god Shiva. Shiva is the third god in the triumvirate, alongside Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver. These three, they believe, are responsible for the creation, the upkeep, and the destruction of the world. Shiva, the destroyer. He sounds like he could be the bad guy, and at first I assumed he was, but it is not so. Shiva's role is to destroy the universe in order to create it. He is pictured with a third eye, the eye of awakening, of enlightenment. They believe that his powers of destruction and recreation are used even now to destroy the imperfections and illusions of this world, paving the way for beneficial change. According to Hindu belief, this destruction is not arbitrary, but constructive. They consider Shiva the dance of consciousness. Like the frost, which kills the crops, the fire which burns the underbrush, the snake which sheds its skin, they embody the destruction needed for new life, renewal, and recreation. Even our ancient earth, an expert in systems and cycles and beauty, our earth needs the fire and the frost. She finds nourishment in that dead, decaying matter that is left behind each fall. The winter is her time of rest, restoration, and preparation for the spring. It's a time when perennials go dormant and seeds harden and are dispersed. It's when fruiting trees and bushes set all the buds that will fruit in the next season. A time when roots grow deeper in search of water and nutrients. I believe that we should do the same. Especially with the holidays we celebrate during the winter. Holidays that are intended to stay us, renew us, connect us, to nourish our bodies and our spirits and help us focus on the true meaning of all of this. It's a time to slow down, to be reflective and receive nourishment. But if you're anything like me, that's almost impossible. With all the intentions we have and all of the opportunities that will arise between now and New Year's, it's too easily becomes a season of stress and pressure and careful, calculated coordination. And while there is definitely a delight in the duty and accomplishment in that holiday whirlwind, so many of us do wish or hope it could be different. So today, as our trees are in peak fall color, our temperatures are trending downward, and the pages of our 2021 calendar are running out, I think it might be a good time to invite Shiva into our lives. If Shiva and his third eye took a look at your life, what would he destroy? If he looked into your head or your heart or your home, your closet, your planner, what would he restore? What would he destroy in order to help you regain balance? Destruction can be, but is not always a long and messy process. Sometimes it's as easy as dropping something off at Goodwill or tweaking a tradition to make it more manageable. Sometimes it is simply saying no. We are in a strange time, rebounding from a global pandemic. We are finding a balance of how and what to do now. And I believe, just as that Ferncliff garden grew in spite of the creative destruction of its infrastructure, I believe that the next 8 weeks would still bring you joy and laughter, loved ones and music and lights and delicious things, in spite of some intentional creative destruction. I believe our roots would be deeper, and our fruits would be more plentiful next spring. In the coming weeks, think like Shiva. Be the destroyer in your own destiny. Breathe in the frost and the fire. Breathe out a renewed beginning. May it be so. Amen. I invite you now to join me with our closing words. These are words we say together each week as a community. Until we meet again, say them with me together. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person, evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. I invite Jerry to come back up. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for being with us today. Please go in peace. Have a lovely week. We will see you next Sunday.